What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and so it's day 3 of training camp. Today they actually put pads on, so it's their first padded practice. So we'll get to talk about that a little bit, and obviously, you know, I'll give you all the media's news and highlights and stuff from camp, and we'll talk about that as a little bit as we go. So to start off with, Miami Dolphins tight ends versus linebackers and safeties, and Brian Flores is hands-on right at the start of the first padded practice. That's good. We need our linebackers to be able to cover tight ends, running backs as well, linebackers and safeties, whatever. Brian Flores working with former CFL linebacker Sam Aguavian, who again opens with starters. Dolphins clearly see something in him worth investing. Yeah, I mean, so, you know, there's been talk about how Raekwon McMillan has been, you know, with the 2s. He's apparently, you know, elevated up to the 1s. Baker's been with the 1s calling the defense. So, you know, that'll be interesting. Look, I mean, this team has already, you know, in the offseason, they had already done a massive purge, right? They either released a bunch of guys or let a bunch of guys walk, whatever. But even now in training camp, they're starting to, like, there's, you know, guys from the previous regime that are still here, you know, like Raekwon McMillan and Kenyon Drake are being, from what, you know, kind of pushed to the background a little bit. So, you know, at least, you know, so far, whatever. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how that all turns out, but it's interesting to see. Good pass breakup by Xavier Howard during one-on-ones. They had him defending Devontae Parker. Y'all know what happened last year to his confidence going versus Howard. Yeah, so that's actually a really interesting point, because last year he didn't perform well. Devontae Parker didn't perform well, like, at all. And if his confidence got shot because he went up against Howard in practice, that doesn't say good things about him, right? Because what's supposed to happen, especially if you happen to be going up against a guy who's as good as Howard, that's supposed to help you elevate your game. Clearly that didn't happen. And, you know, up to this point, so we'll see. Tight ends and backs just went against linebackers and passing drills, while wide receivers went against defensive backs. Highlights included a great move by Jakeem Grant versus Nick Needham, a nice move by Preston Williams versus Xavier Howard, and a nice deep pass breakup by Jerome Baker. Dude, I'm telling you, Preston Williams is going to take, and probably should take, Parker's spot, man. There was no reason, I'm sorry, but there was no reason to keep him. They should have just let him go. They should have cut bait with him, let it go, you know, whatever, and moved on. I mean, and again, we got tons of guys, especially right now, tons of guys. I mean, even if at this point, even if Parker wasn't here, we'd have 10 guys, because they just signed Alan Hearns or whatever. But we have, you know, smaller, faster guys in Stills, Grant, and Wilson. We have bigger, stronger, you know, go up and get it guys, and technically Parker, although he hasn't really shown to do much of it, but also Bryce Butler's a bigger receiver. Preston Williams, who's been doing a bunch of good things so far. Isaiah Ford's a taller guy. He's a bit skinnier, but he's taller. And then, of course, we still have Nick O'Leary, who did some good things. He's a tight end, obviously, but did good things for us in the pass game last year. But he's a bigger guy, and Gesicki's a bigger tight end or whatever, and he could, or a bigger body or whatever, and he could be used in that way. He can definitely go get jump balls, and he's still, you know, he's only in year 2 now, so he's still got plenty of time to grow and develop and whatever. So anyway, look, man, you know, part of my job here is to point out things that people just won't point out, right? Because everybody just likes to fucking talk about this shit, you know, like everything's all fucking good, like there's no fucking problems, until like It's so mind-boggling. Like right now in the preliminary stages, in the, you know, in training camp and all this stuff, nobody wants to talk about the glaring, blatant, obvious, and, you know, massive problems and holes that are apparent and clear and obvious and so on and so forth. They just want to fluff everything. They, you know, people want to get hyped up and fucking jump into the hype of, you know, oh, Devontae Parker is killing it in practice. Well, he's been doing that every off season pretty much since he came here and hasn't done shit in the games. Everybody wants to get pissed in games and at the end of games and at the end of season when we didn't do well, when we didn't, and then they want to get, you know, all up in their feelings and start pointing fingers. They ignore, you know, the actual reasons for why things happen. Nobody cares about why. They only care about the results, right? They only care about the end game. Nobody ever asks the question, well, why did this happen? What are the actual underlying root causes of why this was a problem? Nobody gives a shit about that. They just like to get all up in their fucking feelings and be like, oh, it was this person's fault, or oh, it was that. It was this, that, and the other. Nobody, it's retarded. It's stupid. So that's part of my job here, is to point out the things, you know, that are uncomfortable for other people, that people just don't want to address. People don't want to see, that they want to ignore and pretend don't exist. It's obvious as we have first day of padded practice that Kalen Ballage is favorite to win goal line back job. His to lose. I guess because he's, you know, pushing some touchdowns. Now, the good thing about that, right? So is there is the aspect of, well, you know, what's happening to Kenyon Drake, right? Maybe, you know, and here's honestly how I would think would probably be the best way to use him. I was thinking lose because he said he had just dropped 5 pounds or whatever. So he's, you know, he's more of the shiftier, you know, quick with the cuts and stuff like that, making guys miss. Definitely better as a receiver. So if you use him like that, you know, use him in the running game, like on, you know, pitches to the outside or outside runs, you know, stuff like that. And then use him in the passing game. And then if Kalen Ballage, because he is actually a bit bulkier than Drake is, if you can use him in short yardage, goal line, or in the same similar ways to Frank Gore was, then maybe, you know, then I think that would probably be the best way, you know, to utilize those backs, especially with everything else considered right now. You know, but that's also partly predicated on whether or not he is capable, Kalen Ballage is capable of being that kind of back, right? That, you know, in between the tackles, up, you know, up the gut, you know, whatever, blah, 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 right? You know, getting those short yardage, right? Like one of our problems in the red zone has been able to run it in the red zone, run it and actually be successful and like punch it in, right? So, we'll see how that works out. That would be a huge positive, especially considering the, you know, massive concerns with the offensive line. If he's able to do that, then he, you know, I mean, I don't think it would be enough to completely, you know, negate or whatever, but he could minimize a little bit and take some of the slack off of the offensive line. That's what Frank Gore was able to do last year, and why Adam Gase used Frank Gore in the way he did, and why he used Kenyon Drake in the way he did. See, and that's an example. Everybody just gets super pissed. We were losing games, right? But those were the correct ways to use Frank Gore and Kenyon Drake. So everybody just got all super pissed because we lost games and was like, oh, you're not using Kenyon Drake enough. Oh, you're not using Kenyon Drake enough. And everybody likes to sit there and play couch GM or couch coach and be like, oh, well, I could do it better. But oftentimes the things that they have to say are just, you know, there's no backing it up with anything. There's no backing it up with logic. There's no backing it up with any facts. You know, it oftentimes completely ignores other super important context that is relevant to the underlying reasons for why these things happen. But, you know, whatever, man. People, whatever. Anyway, Josh Rosen will get a chance to play behind a better offensive line than he did in Arizona, setting him up to step forward from his rookie year. All right, that actually was a tweet from the MMQB, the Monday morning quarterback. And look, I have to say, I don't watch it a lot, but I actually do generally like that show, that program, and the people on it, but they're categorically false. That is not true. The Arizona Cardinals offensive line last year was bad. Our offensive line last year was also bad. Very bad. And it got considerably worse in the offseason up till now. Considerably worse. Not just worse, considerably worse. And I don't care what anybody wants to fucking say. You can hate on me all you want. You can bitch and moan and shit like that. You can get up in the comment section with ignorant shit. But the team has not done anything near close to adequate to fixing the offensive line. They let Sitton go. They let James go. They let a couple other guys go on the offensive line. Before training camp had even started. They hardly brought anybody in, none of which have proven to be any kind of quality, right? Like Chris Reed. Haven't even heard anything about him yet up to this point, right? So after that, Michael Dieter's completely fallen off the map, our third round pick. But Chris Reed, he's been nothing more than a backup or a middling player, so on and so forth. But everybody's like, yeah, man, Chris Reed's going to come in and help. And he might end up being a starter, sure, but that doesn't mean he's going to be a quality starter. It doesn't mean he's going to make the offensive line good. And look, I was already proven right in the instance of J-Ron Elliott. Everybody was fucking shitting bricks with joy, because they're like, oh man, we brought in J-Ron Elliott. He came from the AAF. And he led the league with 7.5 sacks. Okay, but it was a startup league that failed, for which he joined after having failed in the NFL. And now he's not even on our team anymore. So, and no, look, that's not to say that he can't go on to have success somewhere else, but he has already been in the NFL prior to the AAF, failed, didn't make it, was cut and out of the league. That's why he had to go to the AAF. And sure, against, worse competition, he was able to rack up 7.5 sacks in the 3 games that they played, 3 or 4 games, whatever it was. And then the league disbanded because the league was not good enough, because it did not, have the profit potential to compete with the NFL or anything like that. Then he comes here and now he's cut again. So, I don't know, dude. People just fucking blow my mind. I don't understand how people can take the information, the data that they have available in front of them in their face, and come to the conclusions that they do. It's just mind-boggling. And again, look, one day I hope that I can come back and say I was full of shit, I was crazy, I was naive, whatever. I don't give a shit. I wish that I can say that I was wrong, and I hope to one day say that. But I have a feeling I'll probably be proven right. We'll see. We'll see. That's just my perspective, right, and how I see things. So we'll see on how that goes. But yeah, anyway. Let's see. I think the Dolphins are attempting to motivate Kalen Ballage and Kenyon Drake, with Ballage opening first team in camp. I think they both get plenty of carries, maybe share them. Yeah, so that's interesting. So, from that perspective, okay, so, I can kind of understand, maybe trying to motivate the young guy, right, by giving him some first team reps, but they're pretty much giving them to him exclusively. Kenyon Drake, what would you need to motivate him for? Frankly, if anything, if I was Kenyon Drake, that would just irritate me. Now, he seems to be, good about it, and he had some, good, somewhat PC responses in his interview, but to me, that wouldn't help motivate, right? Because he's been here longer. He's the veteran. He's the established guy. And he's done a lot more. He's done far more, right? So how does that work out as motivation for him? It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. What? So I've been here longer. I'm the veteran guy, the more established guy, and I've proven to do a whole lot more. But I need to take my sidelining or my put into a backup role as motivation when I'm clearly the top back on the roster. Like, that just, it's counterintuitive and it's stupid, frankly, as far as I'm concerned. And if it was me, I certainly wouldn't fucking, look at, I mean, I would do, very similar to what he did, and I would be like, well, it's out of my control. And this is exactly what he said. He's like, look, it's out of my control. Control the controllables. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't have any say. I know what matter of fact, the words, now that I'm thinking about it, his words even proves my point, though. Because he's like, look, man, I can't control it. All I can do is control the control. He did it in a very, PC, non-aggressive way. But, he was like, I can't control it, I know what I am. I know what I can provide or whatever. So he's showing that he feels like he has what it takes and he should be the guy that's up in there. But what are you going to do? Because the powers that be, the people that control those decisions, he doesn't have any sway. He's already done, the work. He goes in, he puts in the work ethic, and he talked about in his interview about how he's still, always continuing to try and improve upon, like, his lifestyle and the way he eats and so on and so forth. Things that Devontae Parker, was very unwilling or reluctant to do, right? Stuff like that. So, like, it's fucking mind-boggling. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But still, somehow people try and defend shit like that and make it seem like it's logical or reasonable. But it's just, it doesn't, the only thing that you get, the only real, to me, the only real thing that makes sense with the data that I have currently, maybe there's some information that I don't have, whatever, and that's possible, certainly possible, maybe some little bit of inside information I don't have. But so far, it looks as if they intend to, God, I don't know what the best way to say that this is. Not blackball, because that's not quite accurate. But it looks like they are intending to push Kenyon Drake down the ladder, right? Like, he's earned the top rung in the running back room, but it looks like so far, and again, it's still the beginning of training camp. There could be more information, and maybe it's just the beginning of training camp, and maybe, later on he's going to start getting more first team reps and what have you. Maybe it's like I said, and they do plan to use Kalen Ballage as more of a short down runner, early down runner, goal line runner, and then use Kenyon Drake a bit more sparingly in the run game for maybe some of those, quick outside pitches or outside runs, and then use him in the passing game. Maybe that's what's going to happen. And if they do, then great. And I hope that's what they do, or something like that. And then I can give them credit, and then I can be like, yeah, whatever. But so far right now, it looks as though they're trying to push him down the ladder, right? So again, that's another thing we'll have to keep an eye on. Josh Rosen just threw 2 touchdowns in a row during tandem one-on-one work. Okay, great. So let's put shit like that into perspective, right? So this is the first day that they're in pads, but this is tandem one-on-one work. It's one-on-one work. So that means what? He's got Josh Rosen is the quarterback. He's throwing the ball, right? But so that means that he's got a receiver, obviously, to throw to, and then somebody defending him. So it's one-on-ones, right? So they might have pads on for that, but it's fucking one-on-ones. The quarterback is not being pressured. He doesn't have an offensive line at all in front of him in this case, but nor does he have a defensive line. Nor does he have, possible safeties or cornerbacks coming on blitzes. So it's totally one thing, just to put this in perspective, it's totally one thing for him to be throwing touchdowns all day, right, with nobody coming at him. The important thing is going to be to see how he performs, and not just in training camp, more so in the preseason, but then even more so in games when it's live fire and it actually matters, right? It's important to see how he performs behind this offensive line, which is not going to be better than the Arizona Cardinals, because it's not going to be better than our O-line last year, and that was pretty terrible. But then how he performs also with, you know, other defensive lines, and we have some pretty stout ones that we have to play this year. Just real quick here, I'm going to pull up the schedule, and I think I have it. Let's see. It should be, yeah, okay, so let's just take a look. So look at our preseason schedule. Our preseason schedule is versus the Falcons, the Bucks, the Jags, and the Saints. Just the preseason schedule is going to expose this fucking offensive line and stuff, because now, again, I mean, they're going to get, you know, in the first game, the ones will get very limited playing time. You know, they won't get probably any in the fourth game against the Saints, so that is actually a little irrelevant in that way, to be fair and to be clear, right? So, but Jacksonville has a damn good defense, right? Atlanta's got some thumpers, right? So, I mean, and then, but look, regular season, first game of the season, we play the fucking Ravens, people. Come on, the Ravens. Jesus fucking Christ. They have almost always and historically had not just a good defense, but have also just mollywopped us, right? The good thing is, they come to, it looks like, oh no, wait. Hold on, I'm confused by this, because they all just say versus the other team, but it looks like Baltimore, it says Baltimore versus Miami, but Baltimore is listed first, so I'm going to assume that means, because it doesn't differentiate, I'm using the Dolphins app here, and it doesn't actually differentiate in any like clear way what the home games are, but I'm going to assume that that's an away game. So if that's an away game, if we have to go play Baltimore in Baltimore, that's just going to be a fucking disaster. And then we play the Patriots in week 2. Then we play the Dallas Cowboys in week 3. Bruh. Then the Chargers in week 4. I mean, like, are people fucking kidding me? Like, there are people out there that actually, that's just the first 4 games of the season. People actually think that we're going to have, like, a fucking winning season, that we're going to, like, somehow make it to the playoffs. Do you know, do people understand the level of a miracle that would have to happen for that to be the case? Then we play the Redskins, then the Bills, then the Steelers, then the Jets, then the Colts, Bills again, the Browns, who are going to be a powerhouse team, then the Eagles, Jets again, Giants, well, they're kind of whatever, but then the Bengals, and then the Patriots to end the season. Like, for real, bruh, like, who the fuck thinks that that is going to be anywhere close to an easy schedule, or who thinks that that's going to be a schedule in which this team is going to be able to even be competitive? God damn it, the owner of the fucking team said prior to this whole fucking build, or at the very start of this build, when he fired the previous coach, that it could be a year, 2, or 3 years before we're even competitive. Those words came out of his mouth. Okay? That is a direct quote from Stephen Ross. It's just fucking mind-boggling. People fucking totally, you know, I just don't understand. I just don't understand how people's minds can come. You know, we're all supposed to be like super aware, super intelligent, fucking really critical thinking, you know, logical. Like, it just fucking people confuse me, man. Like, I don't understand how. Anyway, moving on. Kenneth Farrow just fumbled a check down from Ryan Fitzpatrick. Good for you. Jake Ruddock threw an interception to Xavier Howard during tandem one-on-ones. Congratulations. Montre Hardage broke up a pass from Mike Gesicki. Hardage has been good. Okay, so a couple quick things there. So, let's talk about the quarterbacks for a quick second. Ryan Fitzpatrick is apparently balling out, which he actually said some things that kind of... Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But so Ryan Fitzpatrick is apparently balling out. But again, it's just the offseason. He has been around. This is his 15th season, which he mentioned in going into his 15th season, which he mentioned in the interview. And so, yeah, he knows how to do well enough during the offseason to be the starter at the beginning of the year, right? He knows how to perform well enough in training camp that when he doesn't have pads on, when he doesn't have an offensive or defensive line, and big defenders or whatever bearing down on him, when whatever, he knows how to make himself look good. That doesn't mean that he's going to do well during the season. And in fact, if you look at his 15-year career, he has proven to not be very good. Then you got Josh Rosen, who got ousted from the team that took him 10th overall last year after just one season, who has proven to perform not very good and pretty poorly behind a bad offensive line, which is fully expected this year. And he's not performing all that well so far in OTAs and training camp. And the areas in which he does perform well are in times where he doesn't have pads, he doesn't have any defenders on him. It's in one-on-one drills. God, Jake Rudock is, he's a young guy, whatever, blah blah blah, but he's not pulling, himself ahead of the pack at all. Is he expected to? No, but our quarterback situation is pretty dire at this point, right? And it's going to be made and exposed. It's going to be made worse and exposed by the offensive line when live bullets are out. Now to Montre Hartage. He has been performing well in a lot of the same ways that Preston Williams, the wide receiver, has been performing well so far in training camp. We do obviously need a cornerback opposite Xavier Howard. And so, hopefully he can rise to the occasion, because Eric Rowe is the guy that I personally, up to this point was kind of slating and projecting to be that other corner, based off of, his ties to the Patriots and Brian Flores, based off of his history as a player, so on and so forth, and his production on the field. He's a decent cornerback, and compared to, most of the other guys we had on the team up to this point, it seems like he was probably the lead guy to take that spot. But Montre Hartage could be challenging him for that. And if he proves to be better in his performance, then absolutely great, elevate him, because that's what training camp's for, right? And to find the best 11 guys that are going to be on the field at a time. We'll actually get more into that. Bobby McCain picked off Josh Rosen during tandem one-on-one work. Fabulous. The Brian Flores, okay, it's not important to this. Bobby McCain and Xavier Howard have interceptions so far this practice. Kalen Ballage with a good run to the outside after Chandler Cox got smashed by Kiko Alonso. Rough day for Cox. Which Chandler Cox, by the way, is the fullback that we took in the draft. We used a draft pick on him, right? Because it was apparently so important that we take... Look, so what? You bring in tight ends that are more known. You bring in extra unneeded tight ends that are more known for their blocking. You don't really do much for the offensive line, and you draft a fullback. So what? Are you trying to say that... Which one of those tight ends, Dwayne Allen, is currently on PUP. So what are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that you don't actually have confidence in your offensive line, so you're going to use your tight ends and, this fullback that you drafted as extra protection, right? So if that's the case, right, then why not just address the offensive line better? Oh, right. Whatever, man. God damn it. I formation run. Haven't seen that from a Dolphins offense employing a traditional halfback and fullback since I can't remember. Okay. He is right about that in the sense that we haven't had a traditional fullback in or halfback in a while, right? Halfback, fullback in quite some time, but we did run quite a bit of I formation last year, actually, which last year we were talking about was because it was different, right? And we hadn't seen that. But that also was in large part because of, you know, the situations. And anyway, Bobby McCain is the starting free safety again. Seems like the job is his. Look, man, again, I don't agree with that, because I don't think that's employing our position, because I don't think that's employing our players in the best position to succeed, putting them in the best position to succeed, especially when you then consider the bigger picture and the other guys around them. Who knows? Maybe Bobby McCain is going to totally surprise me, but this is at the very least, this is the first time he's done it. He had shown struggles in being a cornerback, an outside cornerback, that is. He's exceptional in the slot, but he showed some pretty significant struggles as an outside corner, and this is his first time ever playing safety, which can be a pretty intense position, right? And he's at free safety nonetheless, which, you know, is good from the perspective that he's not a bigger guy, so he's not going to be up in the box, like putting his body on the line as much like Jones and McDonald would be, but also probably why they've been a bit hurt as well, those two guys. But does he have the speed, the size, the range and stuff like that to be a free safety? I don't know, and I have concerns about that. You know, I think Minkah needs to be there. Sure, he's great in the slot too. Sure, he did really well at it last year and the year before. But he is an exceptional player. He's on a level above Bobby McCain, right? He is. Minkah Fitzpatrick has the ability, the pedigree, and so on and so forth to be a superstar on the same level as Xavier Howard. Bobby McCain got paid big money as like the league's, one of the league's top slot corners. Not as a free safety, not as a boundary corner. Look, man, I'm telling you, anyway. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Kalen Ballage, Chandler Cox in backfield with starters to kick off Dolphins Camp Day 3. Cox springs Ballage for a big run. Akeem Spence just wrecked a play. The second team O-line can't block these defensive tackles. That's super problematic. Yes, they say the second team offensive line, but our depth is going to be needed. Haven't we been proven that? Guys are going to get hurt, right? We need our depth. So our fucking starters are, look, I mean, they let Juwan James go. Jesse Davis was supposed to be the starting right guard. Zach Stirrup, Isaiah Prince, who was a guy that we drafted, Isaiah Prince. Those guys aren't performing well enough at right tackle, so they moved Jesse Davis out to right tackle, who's supposed to be a right guard. I mean, it's just a fucking mess. It's a fucking mess, and I don't know. I just don't understand how people can look at it and be like, yeah, it's cool. It's all good. We're going to be great next year. This is going to be fabulous. I'm telling you. And then mark my fucking words. Quote me now, or hear me now, quote me later, as one of my, favorite political analysts loves to say. Hear me now, quote me later, dude. People are, again, when I'm proven to be right about the terrible offensive line and how, our quarterbacks are going to get exposed and crushed and demolished all year, and then our offense is going to suck, right? When that happens, then everybody's going to get all up in their feelings. And then, ironically enough, though, they're probably most likely going to start chastising Ryan Fitzpatrick, because I bet he's going to be the first one out, because he's proving, as of right now, he's proving to be the clear leader, right? So he'll be the starter at the beginning of the season. He's going to get demolished behind a terrible offensive line. Everybody's just going to blame him, which it's partly going to be on him, but it's also in large part going to be because of the offensive line. Then Josh Rosen's going to get put out there because everybody's going to be clamoring about it, but it's going to take a few games. It'll take 2 or 3 games because they're going to stick with their guy, right? And they're going to give him a chance and blah, blah, blah. But then eventually the noise is going to get too loud. They're going to put Rosen in there and he's going to get fucking demolished. And especially, too, because as time goes on, people are going to get bruised and battered. They're going to get beat up and injuries are going to happen. Rosen continues to get his snaps mostly with second-team offense, with those drives more often than not going nowhere and marred by some protection breakdowns. I mean, really? 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 Like, what? What? Oh, man. I'm sorry. A little bit of today's frustration, I have to admit, is coming from my own life frustration. So I apologize and please forgive me for that. But, like, you know, how much does it take, you know, how many times do I got to be proven right? Like, how much evidence, how much, you know, how many facts, how many data points need to be out there before people decide to break from this stupid bullshit alternate reality that they live in and acknowledge the truth and reality of the world, the real reality of the world. Stop ignoring important context, stop ignoring facts, stop ignoring the fucking data, the plausible, practical, physical data that's in front of you, you know? I mean, you know, God damn it. Anyway, best player on the field in camp, Xavier Howard, playing like the last slice of pizza is on the line and he's very hungry. That's good because he just got paid. We want to see him to continue to perform. Also, real quick, definitely a good note, although I guess it kind of depends on how you look at it. The Dolphins finally, because you know they're doing their top 100 players right now. Who is it? Is it ESPN, NFL.com, or the NFL? I can't remember who does it. I think it's just the NFL does it. But anyway, their top 100 players. The Dolphins barely got somebody in, and they're like over halfway done with it. But Xavier Howard made it in at number 55, so that's great. We don't have any other players. You know, they start with 100 and move up to 1. So if Xavier Howard comes in at 55 and we don't have anybody in the lower numbers, or rather the higher numbers, but the lower ranked numbers, right? I'm not really confident that we're going to get anybody else in there. So it's great that we have Xavier Howard, but clearly nobody thinks very highly. And I mean, you know, with the Super Bowl odds, the odds for us to get to the playoffs, you know, the odds, like according to everybody, all the experts in Vegas and you know, betting analysis, most of the media, right, just thinks we're going to be absolutely garbage. And somehow a large contingent, not just with that context, but with the shit that we see in front of our faces happening in the building, in at practice and so on and so forth, somehow there's a large contingent of Dolphins fans that really truly believe in their heart of hearts that we're just somehow going to be a fucking great team all of a sudden out of nowhere with all of this tremendous amount of adversity, mystery, all these holes and so on and so forth, with the odds so immensely stacked against us. I mean, like, you could just probably go back into history and find out how many times a team was ranked by Vegas and by the odds makers as low as we are, which is 32nd in most cases from what I've seen. We are literally like the last team according to most people's analysis, you know, beat writers, the odds makers, so on and so forth. And how many times those teams have turned it around in that season to actually be good or even mediocre? I bet you it would actually be pretty low, because they do seem, from my perspective, to be pretty accurate overall. Now, do they have one or two a season that they get wrong? Sure, because there are always upsets and there are always, you know, changes to that shit, but they are pretty fucking accurate overall. And yeah, so we'll see. Also, it looks like there are going to be some interviews. I'm just getting some alerts that there have been some interviews and stuff like that. Some of the videos are apparently being posted by the Dolphins. From some of these interviews, it looked like Bobby McCain and Michael Dieter got to speak. So I'll make sure those are in the video for you to check out for yourself. Let's see. Nice pass from Josh Rosen to Trenton Irvin. We had a few pushes exchanged by Isaiah Prince and Christian Wilkins. Not hot and heavy, but they went round 2. Okay, so things are getting a little heated already. Nice run by Kenyon Drake. Hard and good crease on the right side of the line. Daniel Kilgore fumbles his quarterback to center exchange, and Ryan Fitzpatrick and Kilgore make a run to the TNT wall. That is very, very troubling. I know that it's super early in camp, but that is super troubling. If our lead center, and we don't have anybody else really. Who the fuck, if Daniel Kilgore can't be our center, who the fuck is it going to be? We've already got a hard enough time trying to figure out who our left guard, and right tackle is going to be. If and up to this point, I've been telling you Daniel Kilgore, and this is just one thing, you know, so on and so forth. So, you know, maybe it proves to not be a big deal. But if our only true real center, and the guy, like I said, the only person for me on the offensive line that you can confidently for sure not just call a starter but say that he's going to perform well and handle himself well is Laramie Tunsil. The other guy that I said that you know could hold his own and be a solid player would be Daniel Kilgore. But if he's already starting to have those kind of problems, now again, training camp's the time to hammer that stuff out, but he's a veteran guy. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a veteran guy. If those two, they barely put on pads, dude. If they're Jesus Christ, if that's a problem now, there's just so much evidence, bro. Like, it's crazy. This is Ryan Fitzpatrick's worst day at practice so far. He's been off on his accuracy at times and just had to run to the TNT wall after a mishandled snap for Chris Reed. No, that's inaccurate. It was Daniel Kilgore. Chris Reed, from what I know, is playing as left guard. Kilgore is definitely at center, but I'm pretty sure Chris Reed is playing at left guard. So I'm pretty sure he just put in the wrong name there. Josh Rosen, on the other hand, is having his best session. Just threw a play-action touchdown to Nick O'Leary. Look, I don't know. Like, again, that's more evidence to why this is going to be bad. Because it proves that, one, the hype about Ryan Fitzpatrick needs to be tempered. It needs to be, you know, taken with caution because, and again, last year is more proof how he had those couple of hot games and then like totally fell off and got benched, right? Like, it's... Anyway, 8-yard touchdown reception for Kalen Ballage after play fake touchdown to Kalen Ballage. Kalen Ballage with a touchdown run to the left side. Nick O'Leary with a 15-yard touchdown from Josh Rosen. Rosen is having a solid day in 11 on 11s. Rosen, nice. That's just a repeat of what I just said. Eric Rowe picked off Ryan Fitzpatrick on a fade to the back of the end zone. This is Fitzpatrick's worst practice so far. Kalen Ballage just hit the hole, bounced off contact, and spun out to the right to run for a touchdown. So look, hopefully there are some signs that Kalen Ballage could be that you know harder hitting thumper that can you know go up the middle and you know between the tackles, so on and so forth, right? So that's a positive. And we're definitely absolutely going to need that with how bad the offensive line is going to be. But, I mean, it might not be enough. You know, we'll see. Day 2 Dolphins conclusion. Neither quarterback looked great, but Rosen narrowed the gap some. So, but again, so Rosen's been performing pretty badly up to this point. Ryan Fitzpatrick has been performing well and been getting hyped up. Although, again, it's been without pads, without pressure, without any of that stuff, right? And now, this was according to Dave Hyde, right? So now, neither quarterback performed well. So that's already, or looked great. So that's already not that good. But then Rosen narrowed the gap. So the way in Rosen narrowed the gap is, he's been performing badly, improved a little bit, but Fitzpatrick got worse. I mean, that's not necessarily, I mean, it's a good narrowing of the gap in that Rosen got better. It obviously would be a worse situation if Rosen continued to have a bad practices and didn't perform well, and if they both performed badly. But you know, it's not like I don't know. I just don't see how you could take that as like a positive sign, really. Because the lead starter got worse, regressed today as comparable to the previous 2 days. and the not so good up to this point performance-wise backup quarterback that you had played marginally better, against other backups, and it's just fucking... Anyway, Eric Rowe picked Fitzpatrick on throw to Devontae Parker. Rowe, starting on boundary, has had 2 consecutive good days. Kenyon Drake ran an easy touchdown to the left side of the line. Charles Harris failed at setting the edge. Eric Rowe, interception off Fitzpatrick on a pass in the end zone to Devontae Parker. I think that was just a repeat of what I just said. Isaiah Ford with a touchdown beating Jamal Wiltz. Goal line 11 on 11, and Brian Flores gives the defense a speech before the snap. First play is a tackle for loss. Lovely. Vincent Taylor just blew up the line of scrimmage to take Ryan Fitzpatrick down for a sack. Bruh, and our defensive line has some holes to it. Defensive end is certainly going to be a position of concern, especially with Cameron Wake gone, with Andre Branch gone, with Robert Quinn gone, with all these guys that they just let go or cut. And, not really a lot to replace them because they didn't really do a whole lot at defensive end either, right? So they just let the holes form, but didn't really do anything to fix it. And then on top of that, we're also switching our scheme up to be a more 4-3-3-4 hybrid instead of a pure 4-3. So now you got to have guys try and switch up their positions, take on different roles, learn different things than they were previously. Now you're starting to draft guys who fit this scheme and style differently, but we had guys that fit a pure 4-3 before, right? So there's just so many potential concerns and problems. It's ridiculous. Great day for Dolphins D, which just snuffed a series of runs from the one. Live hitting from Dolphins defense and goal line still tore it into practice. They clearly won the drill. Love to hear that popping. Feels like real football is almost back. Dolphins have a live tackle drill at goal line. No one scored. Defense wins. Omar Kelly's top performers from day 3. 1, cornerback Eric Rowe, interception in the end zone. 2, tight end Nick O'Leary, touchdown reception from Rosen. And 3, defensive tackle Vincent Taylor put Fitzpatrick on his ass with a pressure at goal line. Anyway, so kind of to finish what I was saying, if our defensive line, especially in those goal line situations, is gonna shut, and this is that in that particular instance, those are 11 on 11, so you have full squads on both sides, and they are in pads, and they're actually hitting and stuff. So our offensive line, our backup offensive line's not performing well. Our starting offensive line is having serious problems, especially apparently on goal line. Although, to be fair, they did have some offensive goal line success as well. So to be fair and to put it into full context, but they just drilled Ryan Fitzpatrick and put him on his ass, according to Omar Kelly and some of these tweets and stuff, right? So that's not a good sign. Not a good sign. Bobby McCain, a nickel corner all his career, says he considers himself a full-time safety now. So a lot of people, I know this is a bit apples and oranges here, but a lot of people, one of their criticisms of Ryan Tannehill is that he played receiver for a couple years, even though that was not his fault. There was already an established quarterback, and then when he did come in, he performed very highly, at a very high level and did great things. Also, from my perspective, that's actually a benefit because then it gives you the perspective of the wide receivers, a personal, intimate perspective of the wide receiver position, and allows you to be a better quarterback. Hence why he was always in the offseason throwing to his receivers, and whatever, and oftentimes showing them how to run routes and what he expected from the routes and stuff, because it was actually a bonus. But people used that as if it was a negative for Ryan Tannehill. Now, Bobby McCain, for the first time ever in his career, is playing safety. And he, again, has shown struggles as an outside corner. And safety is arguably the much harder position, especially free safety, as opposed to outside corner. Because outside corner, you have a little bit of free help, the sideline. Free safety is literally a dude roaming around in the middle of the field, hoping that he doesn't have, a breakdown from his outside corner or from the slot position or whatever, right? or the other. So, God, man, like, it's, anyway, continuing on. Let's see. There was another thing. Let's see. Brian was valuing improving consistent for Rosie. Ryan just, there was something else I wanted to, oh yeah. So, this tweet from Omar Kelly, like, completely fucking blew my mind. Completely fucking blew my mind, because it's so contradictory to a lot of things that he's said. It's contradictory to, you know, the perception that exists, and so on and so forth, right? So, and for clarity's sake, Josh Rosen looked like Ryan Tannehill today. Okay, but he is saying this, before I continue, he's saying this in a very positive context, which you will see in a minute. He usually looks like Chad Henne. So that's an indictment on Josh Rosen, saying that he has not shown to perform very good, right? Showing that he's looked like a mediocre, whatever kind of quarterback, whatever. But he's also saying that Tannehill is clearly a better quarterback, and he's looking more like him. It was a step in the right direction. So he's saying that Josh Rosen improving today is looking like Ryan Tannehill. That's a step in the right direction. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, come on, man. And then he says he needs to stack these days up. So he needs to, in other words, he needs to stack up more days like Ryan Tannehill. I mean, like, really? Like, really? But he's still got a long way to go with like 6 O's in the word long. Like, man, bruh. Alright, look, I mean, God damn it. Look, no matter what, man, I'm still gonna be here. I'm gonna fight through it with y'all, you know. I mean, there is a slight caveat. My life is a total mess outside of this whole Dolphins. You know, I try and keep my life and politics out of this as much as possible, but my life is a total mess. So there is a possibility that for some reason I might end up, you know, disappearing at some point and not making videos anymore, I suppose. But if I'm just keeping it real and honest, but as you know, I do my best. You know, I'll try hard, obviously, you know, to do my best and get my shit, you know, together and whatever, and so on and so forth, so that way this doesn't have to stop or whatever. But you know, as best I can, man, to the best of my ability, I will fight here with y'all to fight through all this stuff, and no matter what, good or bad, whatever. And again, I'm the only person I know that you know, even all the haters that sit here and get up at me in the comment section and stuff, like, even if it is shitty this year, next year, again, no matter what, I'm the only person I know that says, you know, even if the first 3 years of your regime suck, you should still give them another 2 years, a full 5-year window. I don't know anybody that's actually fucking said or advocated for stuff like that. So, you know, I'll still be the dude that's being like, yeah, you know, they need to be given a chance to show that they can get it right. You know, whatever, no matter what, no matter how much I vehemently disagree with all the things that they're doing, right? Or not all of it, but most of it, right? Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, guys. That's definitely enough for today. This video's already like an hour long, and I still got to add in these interviews for you, which obviously is gonna make it a bit longer. Yesterday's was about an hour and a half because of all the interviews. Mostly because of the interviews. I think it was like an hour's worth of interviews, and like I think I talked for like half an hour. Anyway, so it'll probably be something similar to that, an actual video duration. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it, send you off to those interviews. I hope you do enjoy, you know, my videos. I know I can be a bit, you know, aggressive and stuff, but look, man, you know, I'm a passionate person, and You know, I vehemently, voraciously, you know, defend and argue for, you know, my side of things, my perspective, whatever. But more importantly, for, you know, truth, reality, facts, data, context, all those things. Those things are all super important, right? So I hope you guys do like my perspective and like the fact that I say things that most people just are unwilling to say, right? And talk about things that most people are just unwilling to talk about and address. So if you do, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Please make sure you hit the like button. Hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I'm out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.
Had that center fielder, last line of defense type of free safety since maybe Issa. Why you?
Just, you know, they because I get the job done. I'm a guy that can get the job done. I get the ball on the ground. You know, at the end of the day, I'm rangy. I can move well. I can tackle. I can cover. Free safeties do a lot of covering, do a lot more covering than you think. So, just being able to get to the ball and be rangy and get the ball on the ground, that's the biggest thing.
With this transition, how much does having played nickel help you?
A lot, because I can tell you, I know where his help is. I know what his strengths and weaknesses are. I know what outside strengths and weaknesses are. And then now that I'm patrolling the field in the back end, just looking around, you can tell, okay, this is where he's going. Okay, you got a 3-by-1. This is where he's going. You can look at the quarterback. You can read him, make plays on the football.
How important is the communication back
there?
Very.
Very. It's paramount. Communication is paramount. That's one of the big reasons why you know, I have success back there. It's just because I can communicate with the guys and understand that, you know, at the end of the day, we got to get the ball on the ground and stop them from getting across the goal line.
Coach Flores keeps talking about how he wants a tough team and a physical team. It must have been fun to actually get some. What was that like today to actually
it was fun.
Get the juices going?
It's a lot of fun, you know. Just competitive. It's a real competitive nature out here. And guys competing, man. Guys competing for their lives. We're competing for, you know, at the end of the day, each and every day to get better. And that's what it's about.
On Sundays, how do you know who's physical? I know you guys are all physical to an extent, but how do you know which team, which players are bringing that physical aspect?
On Sundays?
On game day, how can you tell?
At the end of the game when it hits 0, are you up or you down? Being honest, that's what it's about, just winning football games and, you know, having that physical, relentless attitude, being fearless out here. That's one thing we're going to be about. And we're going to go out each and every play, each and every day, and just compete. And like you said, be physical, set the edge, do everything they ask us to do, and it'll work.
What's different this year with Flores as coach, from your perspective?
Definitely, well, the curfew. The curfew is different. No, but definitely, you know, we're running. We're going to be in shape. We're going to be we're going to be the best physical shape football team. Most in shape for sure in the league. Yeah, definitely a lot more. We run a lot more. We run a lot more. Yeah.
The curfew is a little bit earlier.
Yeah, but that's a good thing. You know, get guys in the bed, get guys in the room. Just make sure everything, you know, guys aren't just out and about at homes and stuff. It's good for you though.
What time are you in?
I try to get back to the hotel around 9:50. But I mean, can I tell them the curfew or no? 10:30 curfew. Yeah.
Bobby, I got one way outside the box for you. Last time I saw you, I think it was about 30 seconds in the Heat Warriors game, and it looked like you were going to the club, or were you leaving?
Oh, no, I was with my dad. I was leaving.
Okay.
Yeah, I was with my dad.
Did you see Wade shot or no?
Oh, no, I did. We were leaving, and then everybody started going crazy, so we came back, and then we just stayed for the entire ceremony, the whole speech, and everything. It was dope.
Oh, nice.
It was dope. I'm really happy for him, and, you know, he's definitely a Miami legend, living legend.
Back on and, you know, get to real football now.
Yeah, no, it's fun to get out here, and you know, we're trying to change who we are as a team, and so you see just the pads popping. It's just we're playing football now.
As you guys are building rapport amongst each other, offense and defense, you guys are a little chirping a little bit. You know, the pads kind of do that.
Yeah, no, it's football, and it's competitive, and you know, coach likes to talk a little trash, so for us to get out there and do the same thing, you know, we're out here and we don't want the days to get monotonous, so having fun and talking trash and building, you know, the chemistry as a team.
What is it like? You know, last year was an offensive-minded coach, this year's a defense-minded coach. Just that different comparison between the two.
I mean, it just makes it so when the defense has a good day, the coach is fired up. But, you know, he's done a good job of just, you know, kind of playing the middle. But, you know, it's fun. And you know that defense wins championships. So, you know, we're building a good team.
Josh told us you guys spent some time together in the offseason. Was that correct? You were a little bit, you and Rosen?
Josh stayed at my house, you know, during the offseason a little bit. So we spent some time together.
Well, first of all, how was that? Having a roommate for a minute?
It's nice, you know. I always, you know, try to do what I feel like, you know, I'd want somebody to do for me when I was on a new team. And so, you know, just bringing him in and trying to help him and, you know, us learning the offense together and then just having another, you know, a buddy around, you know, to build that chemistry.
How would you say his mindset is entering this camp?
Honestly, you know, that's something you got to talk to him about. I think he's done a good job of preparing himself and getting ready to do everything he can, you know, to play good ball for us.
And there's some throwing sessions too. Is that correct?
No, I didn't throw with him this offseason. Okay.
So he was staying with you here in South Florida when he first joined?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And that kind of just helped you guys build on your friendship that you started when you first started throwing?
Well, I had some extra space in my house, and so, like I said, if I were to get traded to another team or, you know, picked up by another team, I would hope that somebody on that team would pick me up and let me crash at their place while I get, you know, familiar with the city and, you know, with the team and everything. And so I try to do that for guys, being that, you know, I have some extra space in my place.
So you didn't charge them for anything? You just let them trash?
No, I didn't charge them for anything.
Was this like in the spring or more recently?
Yeah, it's from the time he got here till when we left.
Okay, cool.
Kenny, there's two of your receivers that could be big parts of the receiving unit. Alan Hearns and Albert Wilson. They aren't yet doing everything in practice. Is there any impatience on the part of the whole group of receivers to kind of see what you look like together? Because you got some talent there.
We know that when the time's right, they'll be out there, and you know, we've got plenty of time. You know, we got 2 weeks until a preseason game, and then, you know, we've got 4 preseason games. So, you know, as long as guys are healthy, but, you know, and they're getting reps and they're prepared for week 1, then, you know, we'll be ready to go.
Kenny, what's different with this camp and previous practice with under Flores than previous years there? I mean, everything's going to be a little different.
Yeah, I mean, training camp is training camp. So, you know, we're out here in the heat. And we're out here practicing hard and, you know, trying to build a chemistry, you know, to go out and have a good season. So I can't really tell you the difference between the two. It's training camp.
How are you doing, Kenny?
Great. I'm doing great, man. I'm, you know, just trying to improve on my game and trying to lead the best way that I can and make plays and just do all the little things. You know, I know that if I lead by example, then everybody else will follow. And we've got so many talented players on our team and in our room, in our group. So for us to get out there and just be consistent every day, make plays, and try and lead this team, you know, it's all we can do.
Talk about the talented players.
I mean, yeah, when the pads get on, we get to, you know, get a little bit more physical. You know, you guys got to see the goal line live period that we had today, and so, you know, that was violent. And so, you know, I'm excited, you know, to see where this team goes.
You talk about the top talent on this team here. Is it far-fetched what national people are saying with the win total being, you know, 3-13 or less than 5, less than 6 wins? Is that kind of far-fetched? What do you guys think about things like that?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about the league, we know that, you know, they want parity and, you know, they're looking for, you know, 8-8 teams. So the disrespect and the 3-13, that type of stuff, I mean, it is what it is. We know that we have talent on this team. We know that there's talented guys all across the league. And so it's about us preparing and going out there and playing football. And so we'll handle that when the season comes.
So you see it as disrespectful then?
I mean, it is what it is. Everybody has their opinion. But, you know, we're all professionals. And so I would hope that you guys would have a little bit more confidence in us as professionals and our coach, you know, in preparing us and getting us ready to play.
Kenny, you've obviously spent more time around Josh because you all were out west. He noted, you know, throwing for some during the offseason. Things you've noticed about him, what stands out to you now from being his teammate for a couple months?
He's a good player. The ball, like I told you guys before, when it comes out, it doesn't look like it's coming hard, but when it gets up on you, it's got good zip. And, you know, he seems to be able to anticipate, you know, what's happening out there. And so he's just got to keep doing what he's doing and then, you know, prepare himself and show out in the preseason.
What's the biggest difference between Josh's ball coming at you and Ryan's ball? Is there a big difference in how they're?
I mean, there's always going to be a difference. You know, they're different quarterbacks, but I couldn't tell you any major.
Did you take a road trip this summer?
Road trip, I did my regular road trip as soon as the season ended. But no, I traveled a little bit, went to Europe, and that's pretty much it.
Your activism obviously is very important to you. Is there anything that's going to change for you this year? I mean, kneeling is what everyone asks about, but is that all the same, you think?
Yeah, everything's the same for me. Obviously, I'm you know, trying to think of ways that I can continue to, build on the things that I've done. And so that's, why I hosted a mental health camp last week before we started camp, or 2 weeks ago before we started camp. And so, just trying to continue to build on what I've done and really focus and hone in on my message and use the position that I have as an athlete to bring people together.
You've had a pretty strong voice when it comes to equality and treating people the right way. We've seen some of the political discourse that we've had the last couple of months. What does that make you think?
Honestly, I just continue to focus on what I'm doing, and in every conversation that I have, I try to bring people together. I try to listen more than I talk, and I've seemed to have a good response from people, when talking to them, if they're on my side or on the other side. And so, just continue to educate myself and listen and learn, and try and use my social media to help other people learn. And it's really just about being informed. We're all going to have opinions. We're not always going to agree with each other, but to be civilized and to agree to disagree sometimes is maybe the best way to go.
Do you think things are improving? Because you see center back and all that, and then you see with the work you do, how do you balance? Because on a national level, it seems like some things are worse than we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about like humans, we're more than likely going to be attached to the negative things. Those are the headlines that we see. Those are the things that get retweeted and shared on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And so I'd like to believe that things are getting better. The conversations that I have with people in my immediate circle and family and friends are getting a lot easier, and people are becoming more informed. And so that's all I'm really hoping, is that people shut off, the TVs and looking at the negative news and just start to focus on the good things, try and do good things for other people on a daily basis, and kind of spread that love. And then, hopefully we can, start to knock out all those other things that are happening.
Fun competition between offense and defense. Guys got to like that as well.
Yep, it's gonna happen. I mean, it's a competitive game. Guys are gonna go down. Guys are gonna work. So it's just all part of the trenches, honestly.
Is there a lot of the concepts in the playbook? A lot of it new, or is a lot of it just stuff?
I would say there's a lot of similar concepts. It's just the verbiage is different. It's different language that I'm picking up on, and it's good. I still need to keep working on it, but it's coming. But the concepts are the same, other than there's some new pass game stuff that's a little different for me. But when it comes to the run, all the same concepts, just different language.
Tell me about the physicality out here, rookie year, first day in pass. How different was that?
It was a lot different. I mean, the physicality, it's there. It's people's ability to get off blocks. It happens way faster. They're way more athletic, and then they're a little bit more physical. There's no denying that. And then there's the heat too, which seems like it's kind of physical too. So you kind of got to battle them both.
You come from Wisconsin, which is known for its running game. Is there similar concepts there as there were with Dolphins here?
Yep, a lot of the same stuff, which, I mean, the run game is going to be pretty much the same everywhere unless you're running like this spread all the time. But we're running pro-style offense, a lot of the same concepts, but like I said, it's just a lot different language. I need to. In the offseason, that'll definitely be something I got to figure out. I'm hoping to hang out with the Panthers. That'd be cool.
Any of the veterans on the line, Laramie or maybe Jesse Davis, that you maybe pick their ear, or someone more that you kind of get close to help you relate to?
Jesse, Dan, and Chris are definitely guys that I've been leaning on a lot because, they play in the interior, and they're smart and they're good players, and I need their help. So just sitting with them and kind of hearing, what I can do better from their point of view is huge. You get coached, but it's always a little different when you hear it from the guys you're playing with, especially older veterans like that. It's refreshing to see if they're seeing the same thing you're seeing and just kind of getting it right together.
You feel you need to do this camp to show that you're ready to take your game to the next level?
Honestly, I mean, just continue to improve in every aspect of my game. Obviously, continue to get better in the pass game, the run game, pass protection. I mean, when you're a tight end, you got to be able to do everything, especially in this system. So I want to be on the field as much as I possibly can, so I got to be able to do it all.
Did you do anything in the offseason different from coming in as a rookie last year to prepare?
Yeah, I mean, everything was different. I didn't have to train for the combine, I didn't do any of that stuff. So, I mean, a lot of it was just being able to, put on good weight to still be able to come out here and, kind of use my advantages, my quickness, my speed, stuff like that. And, overall, I mean, I feel like I had a good offseason, but all that stuff's behind me now, and it's just ready to roll.
Mike, how much more confident are you this being year 2 for you as opposed to last year coming into the rookie?
I mean, my confidence never really wavered. I was confident last year. I'm still confident this year. I think that, obviously the experience helps and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm just ready to, prove what I can do.
Coach mentioned earlier, obviously, some of the things he's looking for is blocking, breaking contact off the line of scrimmage. And
yep.
That's something you feel that you've come further on since last year?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously. I mean, that's what the whole offseason is for. That's what, getting bigger, faster. You guys know the deal. I mean, I'm obviously just coming out here, and, we got great coaches, a great system, great scheme that, talented players have to come out here and make plays. And that's not just, the plays that, making catches and stuff like that. It's, getting your hands dirty, getting your head in there and go make plays in the run game.
How different is what's being asked of you in this offense compared to the previous offense?
I mean, tight end's tight end, no matter what you're told or what you think. I mean, you're gonna have to go in and run block. You're gonna have to go in and pass block. You're gonna have to go in and split out and run routes. And I mean, honestly, it's obviously it's a different system, but I mean, the position is the same, and you just got to go out and be physical in all aspects of the game.
Mike, I know we talked to you about body weight numbers back in May. What was the final number as far as what you reported at this year compared to your rookie year?
I think last year I came in like low 240s. This year I was low 250s, so something like that. But I mean, the key is to be able to keep it on. I mean, you guys are out here, you guys are sweating too, and you're just sitting there. So I mean, it's obviously tough, but you got to be able to keep it on and keep on the good stuff. So.
And that will help you how, that extra weight.
Obviously, when you're asked to go in and block and go in and be physical on safeties and corners that are covering you and linebackers that are trying to get a jam on you. I think just the physical aspect of the game, and then being able to keep my conditioning up to be able to do all the more athletic things that come with the position.
What kind of goals have you set? What kind of goals have you set for yourself in the season?
Really, I know it sounds cliche, but my thing was just coming in here every single day and just being positive and just taking it one day at a time. Like, last year I was kind of looking ahead at it sometimes, like, oh man, we just got to get to here, and then we got like an off day because you're so damn tired during camp. Like every single day I'm just taking it one day at a time and just trying to improve. And I'm not worried about catching balls in practice and making these big plays and all that, because at the end of the day, the only thing I'm worried about is just getting better, whether that's in the run game, whether that's blocking somebody, whether that's being physical on my release. Even if I don't get the ball, if I run a good route, that's a check for me right now. I think that right now in training camp, if there's ever a time that you can kind of focus on yourself, it's right now, because there's not games that you got to worry about or prepare for, and right now it's just really hammering down your technique and that kind of stuff.
How much does it help going up against physical safeties in practice like Rashad?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I saw you taking him on today.
Yeah, Rashad. I mean, he got after me a little bit on day one, and so I think that that was kind of something that kind of alerted me. I gotta bring my game every day. He's a Pro Bowl safety, and you're not gonna go up against better than him. So to be able to go against him every day in practice, it's only gonna make me better. So I'm excited about that aspect of our practices and the competitiveness.
How much more intense was practice because you guys had the pads on today?
Honestly, the last 2 days have been pretty, competitive and intense and all that. But obviously, when you throw the pads on, it's obviously different. Guys are coming out here and smacking heads and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it was good though. It was good. I felt good. I feel like we were able to move the ball and do some things. And honestly, the goal today was just come out here and be physical.
You got an 83. Why are guys so concerned about their Madden rating and all that?
Man, I don't know. I don't even play video games, to tell you the truth. It is what it is. But the 83, come watch. You much ain't watching film if you think I'm 83, so it is what it is, but it's another year to improve and get better.
I spoke with Rashad. He kind of said the same thing. You guys find it kind of disrespectful when cats is giving you it's like a B-.
Right. They play Madden. They worry about the video games all day. I ain't worrying about that. I'm worrying about out there on the field and getting better each day. But it is what it is, though. Who is them to judge me? And then you probably ain't watch film on me what I do.
Just getting the shells on, cracking some heads today.
Yeah. Man, first day of pads, man. Everybody was excited, feeling like a kid again, just out here. First time putting the pads on, so we enjoying that, and we're just working on getting better each and every day.
the biggest takeaway you take away from, your head coach is just implement his system and how much you appreciate it and like it?
Man, I appreciate him up, man. He came from a winning situation, he want to bring that over here. He want to bring that coach over here, and he want to have a new mindset for the Miami Dolphins. And, whatever it takes, he been there. He been in the situation, so he putting us through everything we got to do to get better.
Anybody else? Hey, X, we saw Trey Watson, number 44, make a couple of nice goal line plays.
I like that guy.
Yeah. Is that what you've seen from him? Is he a thumper, or?
Yeah, he's definitely a thumper, man. He's a good guy, man. Rookie, he proving himself every day, and proving to people why he out here.
Alright guys, so you've reached the end of my video, you've reached the end of the interviews, and I hope you guys enjoy my video. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section, and as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.